Welcome to another edition of the Teach One podcast. I am Tyrone Richardson, your host. I am joined today by Miss Autumn Baltimore, longtime colleague and friend. How you
Yeah,
doing, Autumn?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Just, reminiscing on some of our
Yeah.
time in Harvard that we shared, but glad to have you. You are currently a secondary literacy coach
Mhm.
in Anne Arundel.
Yep. Anne Arundel.
Anne Arundel. I want to say Anna so bad. Anne
That's
Arundel.
okay.
Anne
She
Arundel,
probably lives here too.
which is in Maryland.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming to the Teach One podcast. We're gonna jump right in it. So
All right.
tell us about yourself. Where were you born?
I was born in Northern Virginia, Alexandria. Nice little quaint town between DC and what the rest of us call Northern Virginia. And then we moved to Woodbridge,
Yep.
and that's where I graduated. So I graduated from a county, similar to a county that I work in right now.
Okay, hold
So
up.
it
Slow
was,
down a little bit. You
yeah,
you went all the way to graduation.
I went
Elementary
all the way to
school. Where'd you go to
graduation.
elementary school?
I went to elementary school at John Adams in Alexandria.
Yep.
And then around third grade, fourth grade, moved to Woodbridge
Okay.
and went to Rockledge Elementary. Go Eagles. And then I went to Woodbridge Middle School.
Okay.
Go Seminoles. And then I went to Woodbridge High School. Go
I was
Vikings.
gonna say you got the mascot for them too. That's good.
I can remember when you're an athlete,
Yep.
you tend to be identified by the spirit animals of the schools. So met lots of friends.
Now.
Some friends I still have
Yep.
now.
Now, when you
So
talk
coming
about
back home,
coming
it's
back
been
home, right
nice.
to that area
Yeah,
down there where you work at now, because you had a stint up here. I remember you
I
from
did.
teaching and from coaching and from
Yeah.
marches and all that kind of stuff. So in school, when you were a child and you just say you were an athlete, what
Mhm.
were you into? What kind of student were you in middle school and high school?
Oh, I was how can I put this? Um, I was devious, but never got caught. Um, I'm the eldest out of a brother and a sister pair. Both my parents are together still.
Yep, that's awesome.
They're 77. Shout out to them.
Okay.
And it's one of the reasons why I moved closer to home.
Yep.
But I was devious and into everything. Just vulnerable moment, and you know how I am,
Yep.
transparent person. I was diagnosed with ADHD
Okay.
like 8 months ago. And
8
so
months ago, like as an adult,
as an adult,
we never knew that. Okay.
well, if you know me,
Right.
I I wasn't surprised. I just think that it kind of gave me peace about a lot of the things that I did or didn't do
Mm-hmm.
as a child or a teen growing up. And you know, ADHD presents vastly different in women, in girls
Okay.
than it does in males, and adult males. So the deviousness could have been a Baltimore trait,
Right.
but the organization, the perfectionist, um, the quick-witted humor, the being able to connect to everybody was probably the ADHD, because for all of those four, I had things to combat that, which is like severe loneliness at times, like having to recharge, being able to read people's energy, which was like, what is that about? Being intuitive about what was going on, but not always having the words or the social interaction to like make it make sense. And then just beating yourself up for the cycle that you go through with the perfectionism. So now that I've been diagnosed,
Yep.
I tend to look back at like little Autumn, and I'm like, oh, okay, got it. And it helps me kind of think about what students are struggling with and or gifted with similar abilities.
Now, when you talk about being devious, was that like class
Mhm.
clown behavior
Oh
or just
yes.
like, okay, like class?
Yeah. Super class clown. I couldn't really read fluently until about eighth grade. which technically, as a Black woman that couldn't read, I shouldn't be coordinating curriculum, instruction, assessment,
Come
and
a
professional
long
learning
way. You've come a
for
long way.
literacy.
It's all
Yeah.
good.
So, I say that to say I was always getting into things because very curious. Loved video games. We were an Atari family.
Oh,
um 2-bit to 3-bit to
mhm.
4-bit. And then we moved on to Nintendo and Sega. So
Yep.
like games really helped my mind to think in a different way. Um, Same thing with athletics. If I could, I had so much energy.
Right.
I was just running all the time. And it's due to my dad being a coach, a
Okay.
basketball coach, and he still coaches tennis in the summer at
Nice.
77. Um, it was like he was like, "You need to go run, go get into stuff." And so I was a complete '80s kid. Got lots of scars from climbing trees, roller skating on asphalt,
Yeah.
um, not coming home until the lights turn on, or sometimes just not. It was just always like Goonies.
Mhm.
I loved Goonies
Adventure
because
stuff,
it
like
was
just
like,
going at it. Yeah.
yeah, I could just expend all my energy, but I also learned a lot from like the community and the streets
Yeah.
and my
Yeah.
neighbors and just being open to different types of people, cultures, and community because in the DMV area, it's kind of a smaller melting pot of New York.
Okay.
Just you get a lot of different cultures all in one space. So I went to a pretty diverse school from elementary, middle, and high school.
Yeah.
And I believe even in '98 when I graduated, I was one out of like 900,
Okay.
even
So
in
that's
'98.
yeah.
So like Woodbridge was exploding and it's just now just continued to grow as a really thriving suburb. So it gave me a lot of opportunities and experiences to be devious, but being devious in a really creative way that helped me to learn about myself and helped me to make connections with other people.
Okay. So in middle school, did you
Uh-huh.
have a favorite subject or a favorite teacher?
Yeah, I had a favorite subject which is odd. I loved math only in seventh grade because of a teacher named Miss Thomas, and
Yes.
she had a blunt blonde bob, and she was like 6'2", at least in my mind.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Right. In your mind.
in my mind, I was like, man, and that's a lot of woman. I would say things like that. That's a lot of woman. And she just awed me. And she had like these red Sally Jesse Raphael
Mm-hmm.
glasses,
Yeah.
and she would just story tell, but it was in math. And I thrived in storytelling,
Yep.
whether it was a lie, a truth, writing poetry. I mean, like, I just love storytelling. And I just found it really interesting that she would allow us to sing Disney songs while doing math and eating candy while she told stories about helicopters.
So,
And
so I was like, did you learn anything? You
I
learned the
and I
story she told, right?
I learned about the stories she told because that was I can't even tell. I don't know how long ago that was. Um, I learned about graphing because
Okay.
we were doing that type of math
Yep.
when she was talking to us, and I learned how to remember the formulas because of the songs I used to sing
Mm,
in class.
mm.
And I had a totally different teacher for math in eighth grade, and
Man.
I got D's and F's.
Yep.
Hmm.
Right down.
Got D's and
So
F's.
we know just from the education field, the
Yeah,
right teacher makes all the difference.
absolutely.
What about high school? What's your favorite subject in high school?
Favorite subject in high school. Um, it was a mix between anything sports related,
Hmm.
gym,
Yep.
health even. But then I got introduced my junior year and my senior year to like the social sciences.
Okay.
So like I took sociology. Um, I took an AP English class for the first time,
Okay.
which I was nervous about
Yep.
because I was like, I'm not supposed to be here. Um, Actually, it wasn't AP, it was honors. Um, and then I took philosophy and then psychology.
Okay.
And it was the social sciences that really interested me around people and how people connect in worldly endeavors and that we're not on this planet called Woodbridge, Virginia,
Yeah,
alone,
yeah.
but my curiosity around what others were doing and how they function
Well, let me let me
was
let me ask you about this. When it
Mhm,
comes to high school at your time, right?
mhm,
97, 98. You're
yep,
in Virginia. Did
mhm.
you have any teachers of color? Were they talking about, right, local heroes that were black or national people? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't get a lot of that from up north in
Mhm.
I'm pressing my Harper Shout out to Harper Public High School.
To the pub.
To the pub. We got some of it. Shout out to Mr. Epps came in as an intern.
Really?
Student teacher Epps came in. It was a student teacher when I was at, and he taught our black
That's
history,
amazing.
our African Americans history class. So
I
that
know
was
I know
dope.
he taught it well.
Right. He for sure. Did you have a lot of that? How was that down in Virginia at that time?
That's a great question.
Okay.
Because I think sometimes because we're so multicultural in this area, like the DMV area,
Mm-hmm.
you tend to get a lot of other cultural viewpoints and perspectives, but you still don't get African American or Black American strong perspective.
Okay.
Like my teachers were still Caucasian.
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple of Hindi teachers. Um, I had a lot of male teachers, which I think is something when we talk about equity, it's
Yeah.
not just about race, but just different types of people that you see.
High school we did too.
Yeah, so I thought that was a very interesting take. And during those times, we had a lot going on in '98. We had the OJ trial.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
we were getting ready to embark on many wars. There was just
Yeah.
a lot of race tension.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like that in our school because I think you saw a little bit of
Everybody.
everybody in
Okay.
each class. So even though our teachers didn't look like us,
Mm-hmm.
there was enough of us to be a part of any type of club or community if you
Yeah.
chose.
Okay, cool. Who did you have
Yeah,
a
great
favorite
question.
teacher in high school?
I had a favorite coach.
Oh, that's
I
so what sports did you play in high school?
Yeah, so from elementary on, I ran track,
Running track.
indoor outdoor. I played tennis, played basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I dabbled in volleyball. It was like anything sports related.
Yeah.
It was like my brain could just do, and I enjoyed it. So it was. I know one time in a gym class we did archery, and I was like, yeah. I didn't even have any experience, but I was like,
Shoot something.
I'm gonna shoot. Yeah, I'm gonna shoot this, and it's
Yeah.
gonna hit something.
Mm-hmm.
And with that perfectionist, it just always kept my mind going. So, ironically, my one of my favorite coaches was his name was Coach Gojekian,
Okay.
another like 6'5", and
Yeah.
he was.
Oh, he was.
He had like tree trunk legs,
Mm-hmm.
and back then he still wore like the '80s shorts and the half cut tee. Um, and he was the shot put coach and the javelin coach,
Okay.
and I was like so intrigued by the jokes he told. And he was a media specialist at the time,
Okay, yeah, you
librarians.
got it. Yeah.
This like 6'5", like huge football, like looked like he was running with Rudy.
Uh-huh.
I just was like so taken aback by him because again, it was like the stories and the
Yeah.
connections. And I used to love hanging out in the library. That was like, and the library was a cut through.
Yep.
So you could get to one pod to another. So I would purposely make sure like I would cut through and see Coach Kojekian, talk about track, talk about all types of stuff.
Yep.
I remember seeing the OJ trial on the push away TV carts.
Okay. Yep.
He had rolled one out for us. So like whenever anybody could go through, we could stop and like take a look at what was going on. But the conversation was always rich. I didn't have that language back then, but
Mhm.
it was rich.
Well, you said something that probably wouldn't happen today in today's
Mhm.
schools. Y'all was watching the OJ trial going on in school. I don't
In
know
school.
if we would allow that in school now.
I don't
People
think
just get a
so.
little touchy with things
Yeah.
like that these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's on our phones.
Right.
And
Right.
depending on who has access to phones, you have access to a whole lot more.
Right.
Where for us, like if you missed it, you
You
missed
missed
it.
it. Yeah, you missed it.
Yeah.
So you somewhere along the lines, right after high school, you graduated. you went
Mhm.
to school and somehow got into education. Tell us about that journey.
Yeah, so I chose to go to a historically Black college,
Okay.
Virginia State
I
University.
went to Virginia State for
Yeah,
for
for a little bit. I think we
for a
talked about
semester.
this.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it
it's
wasn't the
okay.
same. Yeah, yeah, it's
You're
all
still a Trojan.
good. Okay, good.
You're still a part of the family. And that was pivotal because I chose to learn with people who look like me,
Mhm.
no matter how intimidated I might have felt. And so I'm first everything. So
Yep.
like first to graduate high school.
Mm.
Well, my mom graduated high school.
Yep.
And then she got a job at the Pentagon. So that's how we were in the area. And then first generation college,
Mhm.
first generation masters. And when I finish my doctorate, I'll be first generation, you know, EDD. And so going to a historically black college was important because nobody else in my family that I have known
Yeah.
had gone to school, let alone a black school.
Right. Right.
So at during this time of like understanding myself and getting to know different people, and then picking up something that I hadn't done in a long time, which was dancing,
Mhm.
as a band dancer or majorette, they call them now.
Yep.
Um, it really provided me with a sense of belongingness and feeling like I could try out different me's and whatever landed
Yeah.
was still respected and accepted. And that doesn't happen everywhere. Um, I can't say everybody's experience is like mine,
Right.
but I full throttled after freshman year. Like I almost failed out my freshman year because
Mhm.
I did everything that everybody says. I partied. I was like, I'm not going to 8 o'clock class.
Mhm.
I'm not the model student.
Mhm.
And then I had some relationships and mentors kind of say like, what are you doing? Like you're paying for school and
Yeah.
you need to have an experience. And I really appreciate that. And I give myself grace for listening.
Mhm.
Because I wasn't the best listener back then. Um, but my sophomore, junior year, it was like, and I like learned how to study,
Yeah.
I learned how to take notes, I learned how to organize better, I learned how to advocate for myself in a different way, and I just showed up different. And because I showed up different, my experience was really beautiful.
Mm.
And a lot of who I am today is because of those experiences at state. And of course, like joining Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated was like the beautiful cherry on top that allows me to just foster different relationships with like-minded women that have really just continued to support me even while I'm talking to you right now.
That's dope.
Yeah.
So you just Virginia State. Who made that choice? Was that your choice? Like I got to go there. I visited other colleges. I talked to my parents. Who made that choice
Yeah.
to go to Virginia State over something like a Howard or Hampton or you know another
Um,
HBCU?
a hyperextended knee made that choice.
Okay.
I was gonna run track for the rest of my life.
Okay.
Um, and I had lots of scholarships to D1 schools. I still have a letter from Yale. So I
Mm.
would have been up north a lot earlier.
Mhm.
But I hyperextended my knee the second meet in the spring.
Mm.
And I was like, well, what am I going to do? Like, my grades just got strong in high school. Again, this rhythm of like playing around, figuring who I am out. And then, like, the last 2 years of school, like soaring. So I was like, what am I going to do? I don't want to run forever either.
Yeah.
It became like a job and not a passion anymore.
Mhm.
Um, and I wanted to pick my dancing back up. So I just made the decision to like the D1 schools that were courting me for track.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't want to run anymore. I'm hurt. I don't want to do the things I need to do to heal. So I'm just going to live this senior year of high school life and do all the things that your wonderful parents teach you not to do. And you go through that experience. And then you buckle up right before you graduate and you send out letters to different universities.
Mhm.
And I remember winning a Delta scholarship because one of my mom's close friends was a Delta.
Okay.
And we went to church with them. and she had kind of watched me grow up, and they gave me a scholarship. And I was like, "That's nice. How many more of these can I get?" And I got a couple more, and I just decided, like, state was close enough to home,
Yeah,
far enough away from home, and I decided that I wanted to learn with people who look like me.
yeah,
And so that school checked most of those boxes.
got you. And I ended up there off a Black College tour. Again, Harper
That's
High,
everybody's story
campus that go down
from
there.
Connecticut.
Yeah, in Connecticut, we go,
Yeah.
we drive, we visited. I love Morgan State though too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah?
I did love Morgan State in the city. It
Yep.
was intriguing. But
The
I
other
went
orange and
to,
blue.
yep, yep.
We don't hate them.
Good. So I did end up at B State for a very small time, just because it was in what, Petersburg, and it was like its own
Yeah.
little campus, and I don't know, Colonial Heights was a little bit strange
You
going
got
out
it.
that way. That was
You're
we went
you're a
we walked to the
Trojan. Who
mall. I
are
was
you?
like, but
Oh, you should see it now. It's
but Virginia State was
insane.
like, when I went there, it was isolated. And
Yeah.
coming from up north, it was like, and it was segregated in itself, like men on
Yeah.
one side, women on the other side. Like we couldn't go to their dorms past 8, and there was no co-ed going on. It got
Virginia rules.
better. It got better after you got there. When
Yeah.
I was there, we're talking 92.
Praise the Lord.
So so it was a little whack, so I had to go home.
I understand. I understand.
How'd you get into education?
Yeah, so I was an English education major up until maybe my junior year. And remember, I almost failed out my freshman. So I
Mhm.
was like kind of catching up to everybody. And once I hit that peak of like understanding how to be a really effective student, I went back into the social sciences again.
Okay.
So all of like
Yep.
philosophies, psychologies, that stuff started to come back up for me. And so by the time I did an extra year, and I was like, and I was a terrible test taker, still a terrible test
Mhm.
taker. But you too, anybody who's watching this, you can be somebody, even if you're a terrible test
This
taker.
is this is true.
Um, and I was like, I'm not going to take the praxis, but I knew like intrinsically I could teach. So my dad always was like a substitute teacher, math tutor. I was always around students
Mhm.
with him and then also being a coach. So being around teachers, and he still hangs out with some of my teachers from elementary school. They just met up. I was always around teachers and I just didn't know it. A lot of my jobs, I've been working since I was like 12 under the table, 13, my techs. They were all education jobs. So I was doing like tutoring during the summer. I picked up sign language so that I could work as a teacher's assistant with the deaf and hearing impaired.
Mhm.
And so every summer I would do that and also work at the daycare. And then it got to the point that I had been working at the daycare so long, curriculum started to come in and I
Okay.
started to learn about curriculum. And for me, it was just like, it was organized in a way that I could understand it. So by the time I needed to decide what I was going to do before I graduated from state, um, there were three things that I needed to do. One, I needed to have benefits because my daddy was like, "You need benefits. Let me teach you about
Yeah.
benefits and retirement." So I was like, "Okay." Second thing was I need my summers off, and because I had already been kind of in the education
Mhm.
world, I was like, I could still get that. And third, I needed a salary. And I was like, how can I get all three of these? So I decided not to take the praxis. I knew that if I get a teaching job, I can buy more time and take the praxis in an area that I may not wanted in college. But after my first or second year, I may really know what I want to concentrate in.
Okay.
So before I left state, around March, I went to a job fair in Hopewell. They were looking for teachers. I had my little resume printed out. It had a lot of teaching stuff on there because of the summer stuff.
Right.
Um, and I did like an on-call interview, get like to the calf. And I remember them saying like, "So do you want to join?" And I was like, "Yeah, what will I be doing?" They were like teaching sixth grade at-risk students. I was like, "Oh, that sounds cool." I get benefits. I get a
Salary, I
salary.
got summers off.
Do I get the summers off? They were like, yes, yes, and yes. I was like,
Sign my name
and
right there.
so sure did. And as everybody was graduating, I already had a job. So come July, I was in professional development.
Mhm.
So I never had to worry about what I was going to do or try to find a job in the summer. I had a job by the time I graduated in May.
Yeah.
So I hit the ground running as a sixth grade history and English teacher.
Okay. So 6th grade history English teacher in Hopewell.
Uh-huh.
What was your next step after that? How long did that last? And what was your next step after that?
That lasted 2 years with a great mentor named Clyde Fawn. And she taught math and science, and we switched. And that was during
Oh,
a
yeah.
time
I used to do
where
that. Yeah.
you could,
Yeah.
my whole class was filled with kids who had got kicked out
Yeah.
from another class. You could do that at that time.
Yeah.
Um, and
Wait, now,
that was like,
did you get those kids because you were black or female?
I'm pretty
What was it?
sure.
Okay.
Like, and Hopewell, if you don't know, audience, uh, predominantly black at that time,
Yeah.
and brown students.
Yeah.
Great staff, but I wasn't weirded out to that because once you live in Petersburg, you can
You can do it.
you
Yeah.
can do anything. That's like once you live in Hartford,
Mhm.
you built for the hard knocks
Right.
life. You good to go anywhere. Both beautiful places with beautiful people. So I wasn't shocked. So not shocked that I never even asked, why are all these kids black and brown in here?
Yeah.
Not at all. I had a coach that came in, worked with me with the ELA and the history side, but I just remember having a lot of freedom to teach them in a unique way because I think nobody else could teach them or
Okay.
wanted.
Yeah.
And that's really where my creativity around how I teach
Mhm.
was developed.
Okay. And so where'd you go from there?
I was in Hopewell for 2 years.
Yeah.
I taught 6th grade, and then I moved to 8th grade, which I loved. And then I decided to move closer to home, and I taught 9th grade at Loudoun County High School, which is in Virginia, like Northern Virginia.
You picking some winners when we talk about grades, right? Like 6th grade, troubled kids, middle
Yeah.
school in general, we know
Uh-huh.
is something, and then 9th grade.
Yeah.
And you
I
haven't quit yet by then.
No, and I just keep picking jobs that people are like, I would not do.
Right.
And I don't do anything traditional. I just was like, I think I can do that. So I taught basic, honors, and advanced
Mm.
to 9th graders. I was there for a year. Some like personal things happened. And I had a close God sister, God family, shout out to them, that I was like, I just need to go.
Yep.
And she was like, well, come to Connecticut. And I was like, no, I'm good. I mean, I used to always want to go, but I was like, I'm good. She was like, come to Connecticut.
Yeah.
And she was a preacher, so I wasn't gonna, I think she was talking to somebody else. So I was like, okay. And I packed my stuff up and I've left to go to Hartford. And I'll never forget this. Tasha, at the time, forgot Natasha's last name, Durant.
Oh, Durant
was my, yes,
Yeah.
Natasha Durant. She had, at the time, she had a different name. She was my onboard person. And I remember getting my packet in the mail, again, asking you those 3 questions: benefits, retirement benefits, numbers off, and salary.
Yep.
And she said, oh, because, you teach English and it's a needed area in Hartford, we're going to pay you $8,000 more. I was like, what? Yeah, I was like, I'm on my way. So I packed up my stuff. Family drove through New York, got to Hartford. My god sister at the time lived in West Hartford, right near the big Whole Foods, Farmington Ave. And that was my first introduction to Farmington Ave and West Hartford.
And then
Even though
go a
I
little
taught in
couple
Hartford.
blocks down the street
Yeah,
to Hartford, you're like, oh, there's a whole other story.
Literally a couple
Whole other
blocks.
world.
I learned very,
Mhm.
very quickly. But that's how I got to Hartford. And every year I was like, I'm going to come back home. I'm just gonna come back home
Yeah.
because it took me a while to acclimate, longer than I thought. And it wasn't because I missed home.
Yeah.
It was just black people were different up there.
Yeah.
White people were different up there.
Mhm.
Um, the city is very different and unique. And so I just didn't know where I fit.
Yeah.
And so I had maybe like 4 years. It was rough for me. I did the job. I
Yeah.
loved the job. It kind of saved me. But personal life and where do I go and who am I?
Yeah.
It was like I started all over again.
Did
Um,
you start at Hartford Magnet Middle School?
yeah, I started at Hartford Magnet. Dolores Bolton, that's where I ran into Dolores.
Shout out to
Um,
Dolores.
Shout
Yeah.
out to Dolores Bolton. Um, and I was teaching 6th grade
Yeah.
content literacy with Mr. Jeremy Heffernan, who I think is still at HMTCA.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
we all
forgot
kind of
the
grew up
name change
together.
too. Like I forgot the
Yeah.
name change. Yeah.
So we taught history and I integrated ELA into it. And then the next year I just was an ELA teacher.
Mhm.
And then I did that for about 4 years, became a team leader. And none of the things that are happening I necessarily wanted. I was cool just teaching in a classroom
Right.
and coaching after school.
Right.
So I coached something in the fall, the winter, and the spring. Had it down a pat.
And would you
Um,
coach?
I coached in the fall. I was the band dancer and flag coach, and in the winter, cheerleading, and then in the spring, partnering with like cross country for a little bit,
Mhm.
and then onboarding for the band again. It was
Because
just
for
like a cyclical
the band
process.
stuff, you had my stepdaughter.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
Marley.
did.
Yeah,
I
Marley for
did.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 3 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
And
All the time.
so,
All the time.
yeah, that's what I do like about Hartford
Mhm.
is that you really do get to know everybody really quickly. And once you know them, you kind of just integrated with
Yeah.
their family and their friends. And it's not like that in the DMV. I
Okay.
think just because it's bigger and just the culture.
Right.
But in Hartford, you know one person, you know 10
Yeah. They
people.
go.
And so, yeah, doing that with the band was very helpful
Mhm.
to meet different families. And then just teaching and being in the community. So joining the grad chapter for AKA was very helpful to do kind of like wraparound services.
Yeah.
Um, so it just became home.
And so
And before I,
what was that like? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but for
no, you're
the
fine.
AKA piece coming
Mm-hmm.
from, so you joined the AKA at B State.
Yep.
And so coming up here to Connecticut, was there a support system from your sorority in place up here in the north?
Yeah. I don't ever do anything traditional. Epsilon, Omicron, Omega. Huge shout out to y'all. I was a bit of a loner. You have to remember, I was having a really hard time acclimating.
Right.
And so I'm Black American, like not from any island.
Mhm.
And so coming up north, everybody just assumes
Yeah.
you're from an island.
Right.
And then when you're like, I'm not, they're kind of like, like,
Yeah.
So you have kind of an identity crisis to be like, well, where are the Black Americans? And it's just a small few. And because they've been together so long, you can't really like get
Get
in.
in there. We out here,
Yeah.
though. We out here.
Yeah. And the way I got in, and I mean that with all respect.
Yeah, of course.
Because you need to keep your family knit close. Was because I had their kids.
Yeah.
And I was teaching their kids. And then I was doing things in the community. And so they would be like, oh, come on, we know you. Like, we know, like, you're the only one up here. Your whole family is 7 hours away. Like, you're good. You've done my students right. Like, we're going to take care of you. And I did that for like the first 4 years. I did that. And so between like community orgs, other outside community orgs, working, spending like 23 hours at the school, and then like the families, I didn't really even have time for sorority because I knew once I got into it,
Yeah.
it was going to be like full throttle. And so I made the decision with a soror named Christy Haygood. She's from Tuskegee.
Mhm.
And we decided that we were going to join the grad chapter and we'll just see where it takes us.
Okay.
And then, like 6 years later, Hartford Girls Rock and
Yeah.
Scholarship
Yeah.
Committee and so many other young ladies and students from across, like around Connecticut, I got an opportunity to meet and mentor and support. And while I was doing that, members of EOO were mentoring and supporting me. So it was like a beautiful marriage of modeling
Yep.
and being modeled to.
Good. I'm glad you had that support system eventually,
Yeah,
to get you through the rest of your years, at least up here in Connecticut. How
yeah.
how did you how did you wrap those years up in Connecticut and then end up back down south?
Yeah, so after team leader, I became a instructional coach
Yeah.
for the arts and electives, which is really unique. Shout out to Sally Biggs for creating some unique
Retired
positioning
now.
for,
Yeah.
yeah, for what that school called for. And so I really was able to work with a group of people who I think a lot of people didn't think literacy or mathematics
Mhm.
lived in their world, but it lives all throughout the arts and electives.
Yeah.
And it was really great to shine a light on a lot of the things that they were doing to help our kids connect to like the core, like tier one instruction. And so after that, I moved to central office
Mhm.
and became coordinator of career development, which was one of my favorite jobs.
What does that
Um,
mean?
the coordinator career development was like three prongs. You did professional learning. You worked on anything professional learning across
Mhm.
the district, creation, systemization, implementation. And then I also had the piece of like college career.
Yep.
So anybody coming into education, certification, the certification of new teachers, and then like
Teachers, that's
yeah,
big.
statewide
Yeah.
programs. And so we were paired with HR, which became talent management.
Mhm.
So that kind of opened my eyes to a totally different branch,
Yep.
but we were connected in a very interesting way. So I got to meet Nancy Williams,
Yep.
Natalie Javier, who partnered with me on a lot of things. They're a great group of people
Still there.
and
Still
still
there.
there. Yeah.
Yep.
Shout out to them. I love them. And we got in a lot of good trouble. So good that some of the teachers that are now 10 years in
Yeah.
were because we got into good trouble
Great.
doing that job.
Yeah.
And so after that, I became an AP. Um, and then after that, I left Hartford and did my principalship at Windsor. And
Mm.
then I decided to come back home because I had some family stuff, but my dad got sick.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I don't think if it would be because of that, I'd probably still be in Connecticut.
But so
Um,
you've done teacher,
uh-huh,
central office,
uh-huh,
you've dabbled in assistant principal, and
uh-huh,
ran your own school.
uh-huh,
And now you're still in a different whole position now as a secondary literacy coordinator.
uh-huh.
What was your favorite role?
Ah, I did say the coordinator career development,
Mm.
but I think what inches that out is being an AP. I
Oh,
loved I loved
where
being
were
an
you
assistant
AP at?
principal. I was an AP at university um, where Tomney is, Sean Tomney.
Yep.
Shout out to Sean Tomney. And then I was an AP at Burr and did some acting principalship there.
Okay.
I feel like I'm forgetting a place. But out of those experiences, I I enjoyed it. I
I
loved it.
always say, well, so first of all, sorry, I was never an AP.
Uh-huh.
I've done a lot of things, but I was never an AP, but I was a principal. And I
Yep.
would say that was my favorite role.
Uh-huh.
Very, very close with teacher,
Yep.
but principal was favorite. You didn't like running your own building? You like to be the Robin, not the Batman, so to
I
speak?
do.
Okay.
I do, and that's a great analogy. Um, I think there's a lot of people, me being one of them,
Yep.
that are good at a lot of things, great at a lot of
Mm,
things. I don't think a lot of us choose passion projects
mhm.
for trajectory purposes,
Right,
for
right.
financial purpose. I have never followed a traditional path, as you've heard. Um, and so I just choose to go where God calls me.
Mhm.
Um, and so even when I moved back home, I was like, I'll be in a classroom because I need to go home and help out,
Right. I'll
be a
do that.
caretaker.
Yeah.
But this position opened up, and not that it doesn't give me freedom. I was still driving across the bridge and helping out, and he has been great.
Yep.
So, um, but it was passion. Like I have a passion for literacy. I love me some middle school.
Mhm.
I still get to partner with principals a whole lot.
Yep.
Um, I get to work with assistant soups. I get to work with directors, and we build things for teachers. And because I sat in those leadership roles,
Yeah.
when I work with building leaders,
Yeah.
anything that I share with them, it's coming from a personal
Right.
experience. Or
Right.
if I'm building curriculum with my team, or talking about instruction or assessments, I'm looking at it from a building level leader
Yeah.
and not from a central office. And I'm doing hierarchy because that's what it really is.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to do is do a vertical alignment
Right.
so that it's in partnership and that there is no hierarchy because our goal is to help the kid at the end of the day
Right.
and the families.
Do you have any supervisory duties? Like, do you supervise any of the principals or anything like that? Or
So the way Anne Arundel is huge.
yep.
So we have a superintendent. We have, I think, 6 chiefs
Mm.
that oversee different
Yeah, different
buckets of the
sections. Yeah.
county. Similar structure
Yep.
to Hartford, just lots more of them. Um, we have assistant soups under them.
Yep.
We have directors under them,
Yep.
and then we have coordinators and
Yep.
principals. Uh, and we kind of are the glue to
Yeah.
the schoolhouse
Yeah.
and central office. So a lot of the times I go on a road with a professional learning talking about the ivory tower and about how the assumption of what people think goes on
Central
in central
offices.
office
Yeah. Yeah.
and what central office think goes on in the schoolhouse.
Mhm.
And instead of talking about assumptions, we just pull down the curtain and we have real conversations.
Yeah.
Because what we find is we're here to help each other.
Yep.
And we have a lot more things in common
That's
than
right.
we have not in common. And so I don't supervise principals.
Yep.
I partner with principals. I supervise a team that
Mhm.
works directly for me.
Yep.
There's 6 of them. And then they oversee department chairs. And
Okay.
so I oversee them with principals. And then the department chairs carry out all of my directives at our 19 middle schools.
Ooh,
Yeah.
19.
Just around
Yeah.
curriculum, instruction, assessment, and professional learning and English language arts and English.
Okay, so yeah, that's way bigger than what we're
Yeah,
talking about up here in Little
yeah.
Connecticut.
But it prepared me.
Yeah.
Like Hartford's not the smallest place
Right.
in Connecticut. So when I came back to a county structure,
Yeah.
I wasn't super weirded out that I was like, oh, that's cool. Like my gas is crazy.
Mhm.
At the time because I'm driving from school to
Driving
school to
around,
school.
yeah.
But I was driving from school to school to school when I had the coordinator job.
Mhm.
Just working with new teachers, working with certifications. So it felt familiar.
So you're in schools a lot.
Uh-huh.
That's safe to say, right?
Uh-huh.
What do you think right now with today's secondary students, whether it's middle school or high school, what do you
Uh-huh.
think the biggest challenges are with those students today?
That's a great question. I'm going to first say, I think we should ask them.
Mm.
I think we do a lot of thinking for kids
Yeah.
and young adults,
Yep.
and we don't spend enough time creating spaces to listen.
Okay.
So I'm always student centric,
Yep.
and so I may have a something in my mind, but I'm gonna check 3 before me, and one of those 3 is always are the students.
Yeah.
Um, and so I would say just in my travels, I've met a lot of innovative and intelligent young people.
Mhm.
They don't have the fear we have as adults, um, probably rightfully so.
Yeah.
Their awareness is at different levels,
Yep.
but they are aware. And so I think because they are aware, sometimes hyper aware, the way that they attack things as far as like getting things done and what they may be fearful of
Yeah.
is just unique. And so I would say some of the things that may concern them in hearing from them. They want their voice heard.
Yeah.
They want time to express themselves and be accepted.
Yeah.
And they do want to see themselves in the work. They want to know that people like you and me are considering them
Yeah.
when we're building things for them.
Okay. So I I do believe that students need a voice and they want to
Uh-huh.
be heard, so much so that in my role that I'm in now,
Uh-huh.
I really had to make sure that each one of my schools had a student voice organization in their building
Yeah.
that the principal sat down with and
Uh-huh.
listened to. So whether that was a student council, an advisory board, something like that, so that they
Uh-huh.
can get input from their students. Now we do a student survey twice a year and get input that way. And there's other ways as well, but I do think having at least an organization in your building that
Uh-huh.
represented the students, especially in secondary, that's hugely important.
Yeah.
What do you think about the adults then, the teachers, more specifically, what do you think their
Uh-huh.
biggest challenges are?
We do a lot of work around equity. I think everybody is.
Mhm.
And there was a little transparent law. Should we call it equity? Should we
Yeah.
not? I think whether we call it equity or not, it exists, right? I think we both know that.
Mhm.
And that's the work that, I know you do and
Yep.
many of our peers and colleagues over the years. Um, the work that we're doing around equity goes beyond just the classroom. So today I was presenting to principals and we were presenting about the rubric that they use
Yeah.
to evaluate teachers. And a lot of the indicators, specifically 2 indicators, talk about how are teachers bridging culture, connections with the students
Yeah.
in the lesson. And a lot of the principals, or if it's not principals, a lot of evaluators,
Mhm.
because it's not just principals, put an A. And so teachers rarely get feedback on whether they're making cultural connections, not race connections,
Right.
but
Culture. Yeah.
universal design. Yeah. Um, and they have a hard time talking about that as far as data. So we were talking today with the chief of equity, who also went to Virginia State University.
So you still
Uh,
got a chief of equity? Just want to
we
make sure
still
you
got
still
to,
got one.
yes,
Okay. Okay.
we have a strong
Mhm.
department that goes into the schools and still does equity work. We have, I think, 6 equity days where we stop, drop, and half the day is everybody getting equity PD through curriculum or instruction or some other realm of the school improvement plan
Okay.
that's turnkeyed by one of the equity liaisons in the schools. Could be a
Okay.
teacher, could be a school performance coach.
Yeah.
So it's very much still the thing. I won't call it a thing.
I got you. The
The thing.
thing.
It's a part of the fabric.
Okay. That's beautiful.
And shout out to Innerillum and Maryland for providing us the space
Yeah.
to still say equity. And not that other states don't or not, because it's a rough time right now.
For sure.
We're trying to understand our identity for our students to
Yep.
learn. So just a huge shout out to Maryland and Anne Arundel County and Dr. Gillens, Waisha Gillens, for pushing forward in her team,
Yep.
Dr. Lorenzo Hughes, around equity and how the job's not done.
Right.
No matter who's in charge,
Yep.
that work will never be done We just now have skills and strategies to continue the movement. And so I think around those indicators, what we were talking about today with leaders was this is how you can see it in the class. If a teacher is speaking Spanish to a student, yeah, that's a very, you know, engaging strategy.
Mhm.
But if the teacher is asking the student to talk to them or turn and talk to another, and things come up about their culture, whether they speak it in Spanish or not,
Yeah.
then you have some data for those indicators that are making connections. And so we were just doing some modeling and doing some calibrating from each school is different around what they see
Yep.
and opportunities to have those conversations with the teachers because our teachers right now are some are still a little bit afraid around having courageous conversations or talking about sensitive topics
Yeah.
that they may find sensitive, but our kids aren't sensitive about. So, kind of doing wraparound services for our teachers.
Mhm.
If our leaders know, then our leaders can model. If our leaders model, then our teachers see. If our teachers see, hopefully they feel more comfortable with the training they've received to create environments for our students to have equity and our
So
teachers to have equity.
does SEL kind of partner in with that? Do you have a SEL department or a climate and
Yeah,
culture
we have
department that kind of connects with you on that whole equity piece?
yeah, we have a MTSS office, multiple tiered systems of supports.
Yep.
I'm a huge fan
Okay.
of MTSS because it's whole child focus.
Yes.
And so as we move into adding on the academic piece and looking really at the full picture of the student, our MTSS department, um, which is led by Tiffany Stewart Klein, great friend,
Yep.
and doing a lot of good work around taking in social emotional, giving it a picture
Yeah.
for people to see, and then giving it some strategies so that we can pull the data from that.
Okay.
Same thing with behavior.
Yep.
So every school has a system, a structure, and a way to collect that, whether it's through, like you said, surveys or SEL groups, second step.
Yeah.
I mean, the list is vast. They correlate that with the behavior.
Okay.
And then from that, they have different coaches and different leaders at the school that do nothing but make sure that that's being systemized, and that it's making student achievement
Okay.
increase. And so now we're just bridging the academic with it
Right.
so that when we start talking about the whole child, it may not be that they can't read.
Hmm.
They may have just not eaten
Right.
last night.
Right.
Or my favorite one is Miss Baltimore, they may not just like you.
Right.
They love their math teacher,
Yeah.
but there may be some restorative you need to do in order for them to show you
Yeah.
that they can read. And so where we're starting to have those conversations, because social emotional, especially in secondary, is, you know, you can't get to the learning
No.
until they feel
So
socially
they
accepted.
right, right. So they
Yeah.
feel they trust you and they
Yeah.
feel welcome in your
Trust.
class, and it's so hard. I balanced that as a middle school principal for sure, when it
Uh-huh.
was like, wanting your teachers to do and be a certain kind of way, but then you want to, like you said, balance the teachers' kind of readiness to be able to
Yeah.
discuss certain things or to be
Mm.
comfortable around certain things. It was really hard. Well, you are the 6 through 8, or I'm sorry, the secondary um, literacy coordinator. You gotta
Uh-huh.
have input around what literature students are reading
Yeah.
in your secondary schools, or at least favorite authors or
Uh-huh.
or passages. Tell me some of those that you guys got going on in your curriculum.
That's a great question too. You're throwing the good questions. Um, I will admit
Yep,
there are not a lot of people that look like me
yep,
as peers,
okay,
but I don't let that discourage me because change is always ever happening. And the people that I work with have a view that has really even taught me a lot of things.
yeah.
And
It's
so
good to
I,
be a
I,
diverse work.
yeah.
Group.
And so I was the first Black coordinator
Mm,
to be hired. I think there's like 18 coordinators across all the contents.
Mm.
And we work pretty closely together,
Okay.
which is amazing. And again, going through that isolation phase
Yeah.
of like, oh, I'm back in it again. But I just keep picking up skills.
Yeah.
And being the first Black coordinator in a literacy leadership role
Mm.
created lots of reflection before I could even say, like, I don't see myself
Yeah.
in what we're putting out. Now, none of this is purposeful.
Right.
I did see other people represented, which made me really excited.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw a lot of missed opportunities for some other types of representation. Universal design to be one of those, like accessibility. Outside of the race, because I think depending on who you are and your lived experiences, that's always going to be a thing. And because I'm in charge of such a vast realm of things that impact teachers and students, I can't be a one thing.
Right.
And so that's something that any leader in a central office role, just be prepared. You can't use your lens all the time because you're advocating for a huge group.
Right.
And not just for you.
Right.
So I had to do some reflection like my first 6 months. And a lot of that was observations, informal, formal conversations across, up, down, families, reading the text myself because I could be assuming that I'm not represented or other people. And then getting some data because you can talk about it all day long. But if you don't have any data, and how is it true? How are you painting this picture? So we took my team the last 6 months of my first year, and we did a soft audit of all of our novels, our selected readings in our curriculum, and then a lot of our classes had classroom libraries. And at the time, that was cool because teachers had autonomy, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But there was no like checks and balances of how it was being used. And so before, as a new leader, you've been taught by your mentors, don't go in and just throw everything out. Be respectful of what's there and enhance it and build upon it. And so by the time we did the soft audit, my team said, can we change these? And I was like, yeah. And that's just my immediate 6-member team.
Yeah.
And I said, but before we change it, we got to talk to the clientele.
Yeah.
And then talk about how we want to do this. Because if we don't do this the right way, then we start back at zero. And so we asked for a couple of teachers and teacher leaders to read several selected novels and reading selections that they could give us some feedback on, their rubric, safe space, both anonymous and not anonymous. And some of the selected readings came from kids, teachers, families, and we put them in a room a couple times. They had some homework, and they filled out the rubric, and all but one novel I approved.
Okay.
Which means then we can get it fully approved for the county. And so after that, we just started to chunk away at each grade level. And we followed a similar process until a point where almost 5 years later now, every grade level has windows and mirrors that students can look through and potentially see themselves. And that's engaging. Or they can connect to.
I like that. That was a very political way to answer that question. Just in general, I love it. Windows and mirrors too is dope. Just as a phrase for everybody to engage in when you have a curriculum for young students.
Shout out to our equity team. They coined that. And it's something we have on our rubric. And we have a pretty deep, if we're buying for all 19 schools, we have to go through single textbook adoption, which you have to have almost 30 people in one session, a totally different group of 30 people in the next session,
Yep.
using the same rubric. They don't ever talk, and they give us the feedback, and they make the decision
That's smart.
on
And it's
whether
thorough.
the curriculum stays or
Yeah.
it goes, the novel stays or it goes. If it's a smaller scale of schools, they can do the MOI process, materials of instruction,
Mhm.
a little less stringent because not all the district is using it, meaning the taxpayers aren't paying for it. Well, they're paying for it, but the schools are paying for it. But both
Yeah.
work with my department to make sure that before it even gets on the table, does it fit these measures that we need? And so it's been a really great process, um, humbling process,
Okay.
because there were even some blind spots that I had that having those conversations
Mhm.
with people who do look like you
Yeah.
is very a humbling experience.
So, um, wow, I can't even imagine the time right now. This is crazy. Okay, so AI, right?
Yeah.
AI in education right now.
Uh,
What's a platform that your school district embraces for your teachers or for your students or for you and your team?
yeah, great question. Um, right now, Copilot,
Okay.
we're a Teams district. And
Wow.
Copilot, yeah.
Teams over Google? Are you
Well,
kidding me?
we are still Google,
Okay.
but
Okay.
during the pandemic,
Yeah.
they were Google driven. I think it was just the easiest to plug and play.
Uh-huh.
And as we came back, they came back a lot longer later than Connecticut
Okay.
and some of the northern states, so
Yep.
they had
Yep.
some time. Majority of the adult and adult learning theory uses Teams.
Okay.
Most of our files, things that are easily accessible, are still on Google. But we don't use Google Classroom anymore. We're actually a Canvas district
Okay.
as of last year. So every student accesses Canvas as their learning management system to access our curriculum,
Mm-hmm.
any professional learning, just about any and everything
Okay.
is accessed through Canvas. So because of that, we use Copilot.
Yep.
And right now, it's only for adult use.
Yep.
I sit on a committee for AI
Mm-hmm.
where we've been charged to create some policy that fits with what the state is sharing with us, what our superintendent is looking at, and kind of like the revisioning of secondary schools
Yep.
around AI. So although students can't use it yet, we're teaching the adults through our content areas
Mm-hmm.
how to be safe about it. Using Copilot for lots of things. If you're a leader, all of those trainings you take
Yeah.
at the beginning of the year. Those are things that we need to pull back up when it comes to AI, because a lot of those things we're discovering are coming up when people use AI.
Yeah.
But Copilot, because it's an approved resource in our district, kind of firewalls some of those things
Yep.
so that adults can use it as responsibly as possible. So right now, our district is in a place of looking at policy, as well as some of the other districts in Maryland. Um, I know I've trained my team on AI
Yep.
with a vendor. It was awesome. And I trained them specifically because the capacity of what we do, because I oversee core curriculum instruction, creation, implementation, advanced, gifted and talented, curriculum and instruction, and then intervention, tier 2. And so I have a 6-person team. And when we're down to 3, depending on what's going on, we want to use AI as a partner
For sure.
and not have less capacity.
Yeah.
And so I took them through training, and I went through it myself with the math coordinator. We work very closely together. Her name is Amy Mullen. Amazing. And so we took our teams through it together so that when we write curriculum or updating lessons, we need to build a schedule. They know how to use the strategies securely and safely.
Yep.
And now they're a group that's not afraid of it. So when we turnkey it to our department chairs, they now become the learners of the turnkey, so on
The
and so
system
forth.
that you guys have there that I hear you talking about, from coordinator to your team
Mhm,
to, your work with the math coordinator, and then how you guys
mhm.
break it down to the department heads. It's just, it's so humbling to hear, because I'm in New Britain, and I got, my Laura Bulkey, God bless you. She is
Mhm.
my 612 coordinator for science, math, and social studies, right? She's a team
Yeah,
of one
man.
almost. And then we have a literacy coordinator that's K-12.
Mhm.
Now we got, nowhere near the schools that you have, but
Yeah,
just having a team to help and work on that kind of stuff just goes miles and miles. So shout out to your district for doing that.
yeah.
I want you to get into now, we're gonna push away the district. We're gonna talk
Mhm.
about your one of your passion projects that
Yeah.
you have. Talk to me about your project Illum?
Yeah, Innerillum.
Innerillum.
Yep. So, Innerillum was birthed maybe 9 years ago now,
Okay.
and, it was my way of, again, if you haven't heard, securing my future,
Okay.
always. Um, and then also, I needed a way from 2 people coming from a district that you learn quick, fast, and sometimes by making mistakes.
Mm.
That is not always fun, and I needed something fun,
Okay.
or something that if I was in a more compliant state at work, I needed a space to make that deviousness, come alive again,
Yep.
but for a good reason. And so at the time, I was just really inspired by talking to different people. And every time I would talk to them, they'd be like, "Man, I learned something new today."
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "I learned something new today."
Uh-huh.
Like, "When can we talk again?" I'd be like, "Okay, the next time I see you." And then it became like, "Well, you're already building it for me. Can you just build the rest?" And I was like, "Yeah, if that works for you. Want to meet up tomorrow and finish it? Yeah, let's do that." And that became like the projects
Hmm.
that I was working on. So much so that a good sorority sister of mine was like, "Why aren't you charging people for this?" And for like the first 4 years of my LLC, I didn't charge because I felt so guilty about the knowledge that I had gained from mentors and
Hmm.
experiences and paying it forward, not asking people to pay me for it.
Okay.
Like, if we want our world to be better, then share your talents. But then I learned in my adulthood
Hmm.
that you can share and still be taken care of.
Right.
And so that's a transitional adult um task
Yeah.
that I don't think transparently a lot of people feel comfortable talking about, especially in the education space.
Right.
You're really taught to be service oriented, and we don't get paid a lot.
Right.
So we'll work at the bar,
Right.
we'll work at Target part time, we'll
Yeah.
babysit, sometimes all three,
Yeah.
and to make those ends meet. So why would I charge people for my intellectual property or my support of them? That's the way I thought as well. And again, just a good mentor pulling me to the side and being like, one day you're not going to be a teacher or a AP or a principal or coordinator.
Yeah.
You're going to be retired. And you're going to still want to do this, but at your own terms.
Right.
And so, what can you do right now that can start to build revenue, but also you're very passionate about?
Right.
And then you don't feel guilty
Yeah.
about doing those things. And I was like, huh, where have you been for the last 4 years? And so, some of my work when I first meet with my clients is very still pro bono until we really work out like that inner thought of what they want. Then
Okay.
I'm able to like craft it out in the project and then itemize it so that they can see if that's something they still want to do. But for the majority of the part, they've got the knowledge conversation
Okay.
and they can make a choice. And I think choice is always
So
important.
run me through that, right? So I'm
Yeah.
coming to you. I'm like, you know what? I got something that I got to get off my chest or that I really want to do, right? Something that
Mhm.
I want to do with myself, and I need some support in how
Yep.
to map my ideas out and make this come to fruition. So I'm
Mhm.
gonna go hit Autumn up. We're gonna have an initial conversation
Mhm.
around what it looks like. But if I still want support, making that come to light, that's when we start talking about, okay, sessions and payment and
Mhm.
sort of maybe planning. Is that
Yep.
how it goes?
Yep. So we would ideate first,
Yep.
which is that initial. And sometimes ideation, you're in ideation phase for some time.
Yep.
If I'm like helping them update a resume for an upcoming position that they're looking at,
Yep.
ideation is not going to take a long time. But if they're trying to birth a project, whether it's for work or outside of work, ideation is going to take some time.
Mhm.
And then through ideation, I figure out if I need to be a coach, if I need to be a partner,
Uh-huh.
or I need to be an overseer. Because some people need different things.
Well, do they cost different prices?
They do cost
Oh,
different,
okay.
and that's because the product
Got
is
you.
different and the outcomes are different. If you need an overseer, you may just need me to check in with you
Right.
because you can't
Right.
check in with yourself.
Yeah.
I also have an overseer of projects that I do. So
Uh-huh.
that's where that idea came from for me
Yep.
because I was like, that person helps me, but I don't need
Yeah.
them all the time.
Right. Right. Right.
Then I have a person that's a partner. The partnership is where we really kind of take ideation to create a moment to then implementation to outcome, and then you go through that cyclical process,
Okay.
kind of like a pilot.
Yeah.
And then once you feel like your plane is really flying, partnership is over, and we can start a new path, or you can keep flying. Whereas the coach, it's based on sessions.
Okay.
I may need to coach you through a problem of practice,
Yeah.
or I may need to coach you to a different position. And those are vastly different types of coachings,
So
experiences.
what type of clients do you serve? Is this education or is this different avenues of life?
Yeah, it's primarily education.
Okay.
So I've had teachers who want to be certified in a different area.
Mm,
I have teachers who want to coach.
mm.
I have teachers who want to become leaders.
Yep.
I've had some that are like, what's the central office thing? Like there's a pipeline for principalships
Mm-hmm.
and assistant soups, but there's no pipeline for being the director of finance.
Right. Right.
There's no pipeline for doing, HR through the field of like professional learning. So like how do I get introduced to that? Like what do I need to do?
Mm.
Do I need to go to school again? Do I need to go to conferences? Um, and then there's like a pathway for clients that are just, I need life skills.
Yeah.
Like I'm making a transition. Like I'm leaving teaching. I want to go into tech ed. What do I need to do? Can you scour the job description? Can you tell me if my skills match after we have a conversation? And can you help me make this decision? I won't make the decision, but I'll partner with you to give you all the things you need for you to make the decision.
Now, are your clients virtual, meaning they could be in another state or they got to be
Mhm.
close to you? Can you
Yeah.
take on many clients at one time versus
Yeah.
I'm not doing this right? You go on a waiting list. So
Yeah, I have what I call like high season and low season,
okay.
and that's primarily just based on my schedule.
Yeah.
And I also am very to the vision of Innerillum. I want to be my best self when I'm coaching or
It's
partnering
a great
or
point. Yeah.
consulting with people,
Yeah.
because I don't want my energy to taint any of their ideation.
Mm.
And so sometimes, like I do in my personal life, I just have to go off the grid.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I'm feel like fueled back up and I'm not having any cloudiness about my own self, I'll take on clients again.
So wow, that's just so thoughtful to say it like that. You've been just
Yeah.
the best. How do we get in touch with you if I wanted some inner illum in my life? How do I
Um,
how do I get some inner illum?
Perfect question. You can reach me at Innerillum, INNERILLUM project at gmail.com.
Yeah.
And we just bought our domain to the .com. We already have the Innerillum name, so soon to come, new launched website now that we bought both of those domains. And what I do is I'll send you a form
Okay.
that will ask for your information, what you're ideating about, and then just what are some things about you, if I don't know you already,
Yep.
that will help me to do my research to come best prepared for our first session so that you can choose if you want to continue to work or just the ideation phase was exactly what you needed.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I will make sure that's, on a scroll and a
Thank you,
reel
thank you, thank
and all
you.
that kind of stuff. Hook that up. We've been talking to Autumn Baltimore from Maryland. Um,
I know, so
so
crazy, right?
I know. Um, this is the education platform. This is your time. I hope you got your list ready. I didn't check with you at the beginning of the session to see if you had your top 5 list because we have that time. I see you reaching for something. Hopefully that's your list.
Yeah,
So it has to
I
be
got my list.
top 5 TV shows or movie about education, starting from 5 and going down to 4, 3, 2, and 1. So, you can start whenever you're ready with your number 5 and why.
5 being least or best?
Least.
Least. Okay, least is Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Okay. Why is that a school related? I guess
I'm
I'll
I'm
let you
glad you
explain. I'm
asked.
sorry. Go ahead. I'm
I'm
sorry.
glad you asked. Most of the pivotal moments of Will's life,
Hmm.
for me, happened in school.
Okay.
Like the inside of his jacket
Yeah. The
being
skip
turned
around. Yeah.
to create a whole fashion like
Yeah.
movement
Yep.
was very pivotal for me because he was breaking all types of rules.
Got it.
But his explanation for why to be an individual and to be recognized as one
Hmm.
and still attend school and play sports was like amazing to
He
me.
was
And
devious.
having he was devious. And then having a cousin
Yep.
that was complete opposite. And majority of their school experiences,
Okay.
even though far and few on the show,
Yep.
bled into the house.
Okay.
And so sometimes, even though it seemed like very family, a lot of the issues that they talked about stemmed at school,
Yeah.
or the kids in the house would then go to school with like whatever Uncle Phil
Yeah.
or Aunt Viv was, putting them on to. And
Okay.
so I found I didn't look at it from the lens of the house.
Hmm.
I always looked at it from the lens of Will being in school.
Okay. I give you that. I give you that. He had some
Yeah.
college years too.
He did have
Um,
some
with
college
Tyra
years.
Banks and
Yeah. I think
was it
Jada
Jada college
made some
too?
appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I give you that.
Okay, thank you. All right, number 4, The Breakfast Club.
Okay. Why?
I'm a huge 80s, huge. The Breakfast Club was like, first, it took place in the library,
Yep.
and I'm a library fanatic.
Saturday
And
detention.
which I had done plenty of,
Hmm.
not so much on Saturdays,
Right.
but I thought it's my least favorite because they're really like, oh, I'm a Libra. They're all like top 5 for me.
Yep.
But it's number 4 because I never got into that much trouble,
Yep.
so I couldn't connect that way. But I could connect with the type of relationships that were growing in just a short amount of time
Yeah.
because they were all dealing with the same thing.
Right. Okay.
And so, in making a connection to my own life, when kids used to get in trouble all the time, I was like come to my class for lunch. Let's go take a walk around the building. Let's try to figure out what really is going on.
Yeah.
And so the Breakfast Club taught me a lot about how when you sit in circle, a whole bunch of things that you think you know,
Yeah.
you don't really know.
Yep.
And once you know them, your brain kind of
Especially
changes.
about other people. For
About
sure.
other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
The peopling of people.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's 4. What's
So
3?
3 is Ferris Bueller.
Okay.
Um, although I didn't take a lot of days off because socially I like school, I
Yep.
like needed to be like to hear the noise and everything. Um, I just thought his way of lying was art.
Skipping school
Um,
and putting what, recording in the bed. So
yeah,
if they knocked
like
on the door, it was like
he was, yeah,
or
he was
sleeping.
sick, yeah, and just his relationships also like with the principal, his
Yeah.
sister, um, his best friend, and what he was struggling with, and then just Ferris being like a golden child, but really having his own kind of issues that were kind of being played out by breaking the fourth wall,
Yep.
which I love.
Yep.
I'm a comic
You're good with
fan.
that. Okay.
Yeah, I love anytime somebody can break a fourth wall, it's instantly top fave.
Okay.
And I learned a lot from Ferris that sometimes you just need to take a break. You
Yeah,
need to have fun. And that you can have fun away from school.
for sure.
You can have fun away from school. And that like connects to how I was able to do a lot of community things, do a lot of family things before school, after school.
Mhm.
Sometimes school is just a vehicle, but the people in the vehicle, are still needing a ride in a sense.
Okay.
They got to get in the car. And so Ferris Bueller, Day Off helped me to realize like spending 23 hours at a school, I should probably take a break.
Right. Take a break. Fake
Take a
being
break.
sick.
Yeah.
Fake being sick
Fake
and go
being sick.
and go
You
hang
got
out.
sick days. You got sick days.
All right,
Yeah,
number 2.
especially with what's going on. Number 2. Let me remember my list. Saved by the Bell.
Okay, Saved by the Bell. Classic.
I love Saved by the Bell.
Okay.
I was Lisa Turtle, rocking my turtleneck right now. I can still sing like the theme song.
Oh my
I won't do
God.
that for you guys right now, but Saved by the Bell
I
saved
remember the
me.
hook. It's all right. 'Cause I'm
When
saying
I wake up in the
okay, all right,
morning,
all right.
and
Forget it. I'm sorry.
okay,
We're not gonna do
all
that.
right, sorry, that's another episode. Another episode. Saved by the Bell was like the first time, the original,
Okay.
with Miss Story, and because her name was Miss Story, um, was like the first time I saw like different kids that looked like kind of my neighborhood
Yeah.
at school.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that's cool. And Lisa Turtle was a black
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, she's a black girl.
Mhm.
Like, wow, and she's like pretty and chocolate.
Yeah.
Like, I was just
Yeah.
like, wow. And she had these relationships with different kids that didn't seem to care about her race.
Right.
And so I just remember being like, school sometimes is like that for me. Like middle school feels like that. And then as they grew up into their high school
Yeah.
and their college age, any problem that I had at school, I compared it to Saved by the Bell. Like, well, what would Kelly do? What would Screech
Oh my
do?
God.
What would Slater do? And I'm telling you all my deep dark
I
secrets.
got you.
But it really helped me. Therapy isn't a thing in the Black community. I think
Yeah.
it should be.
Yeah.
I think you need to have it. But it was like therapy for me.
Mm.
It was like I could watch that and be like, I think I got a skill. I think I'm gonna apologize to that girl that I threw the pencil at. Like it really helped me kind of like I
The
know
pencil light.
I did it.
Okay.
So Saved by the Bell saved me.
Okay.
And I watched all the movies, all the
Oh,
shows, all the reboots.
I can't. I can't.
I was
Okay, I
down for
got you.
the summer ones.
Yeah.
It was good for me. It was good for me.
All right, what's number 1?
Number 1 is Different World. For sure.
Oh, Different World. Okay.
Different World.
All right.
Different World, like Saved by the Bell, gave me a complete opposite view
Yeah.
of school. I was watching them together,
Yeah.
but ironically, I never blended them. It was
Okay.
like Saved by the Bell happens in this universe, and I'm learning from that. And Different World is happening in
It's a
this
different world.
universe.
a whole
It's
different
different.
Yeah.
And even though I could understand both and relate to both, it was nice to have that juxtaposition of both of them because I found things in Different World that I knew I wasn't going to see in Saved by the Bell.
For sure. Yeah.
And there was things in Saved by the Bell that they wouldn't allow,
Yeah.
the Black experience to have
Right.
at different worlds. And I think different world being college based
Mm-hmm.
gave me my only exposure to Black young adults enjoying education, enjoying each other,
Yeah.
enjoying opportunities, making it through the hard times and the good times,
Mm-hmm.
um, teaching us about how to love ourselves, Black history, all history. It was really, as many people have shared, the reason why I chose to go to a historically Black college.
100%. I mean, I think that era, what Bill Cosby did with that,
Yeah,
sparked the whole big push with the
what a
college
genius
black
idea.
shirts on and
Yeah,
that everybody
the
was rocking back
style,
then,
the
the style.
culture.
They made it cool to want to go to school. It made it cool
Yeah,
to be smart, cool to want an education and be around that. And I thought that that was pretty positive. Probably one of the reasons why I went to Virginia State as well, um,
yeah.
because of that show. Very powerful. I thought so. So great number one. I've heard that
Mhm.
as a number one before. I thought because you said breaking the fourth wall, you was gonna put Abbott Elementary somewhere in there.
You know what's
Um,
crazy?
that's what I
I
thought.
don't
That's a big
watch Abbott
oh
Elementary.
blasphemy.
I know. I did season 1,
Yep.
and I can't explain it. I think it was too close to home. You
Okay.
know what the problem is?
What's that?
I used to watch Quinta when she
On the
was
Black Girl
on.
Sketch Show.
Yes.
Okay.
And when she was on, like, The Vine way
Yeah.
back in the day. And so I have been laughing at her
Right.
for a
Right.
while, and her comedy and her style,
Mm-hmm.
that by the time I got to season 1 of Abbott Elementary, I was like, "Quinta, who are you right
Yeah.
now?"
It's
Even though
very
she's
different
excellent as
because
a
she played
teacher.
right. She plays
Yeah.
the one that gets beat up on all the time in this
Yeah,
show.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, "Quinta." But I do mad respect, genius show, but I kind of have lived that life
It's your list.
every day.
It's your list. I just thought
Every
because you
day.
said fourth wall, because that's what they do on that
Well, I
show.
do love that kind of
Yeah,
comedy. I do love that kind of comedy, and I love every actor in that show. Maybe I should give it another
give it
try. How
another
about that?
try. That's
I'll
one of
give
my
it another
favorites.
try.
Okay,
I'll
so
give it another try.
listen, you want to give it another try? This has been a very, very awesome interview. I want to thank you
Oh,
for coming
thank you.
on and picking up the computer and
I
having a
know.
conversation,
Sorry,
joining me on the
everybody.
podcast because it means a lot. It means a lot. And I could talk to you for a lot longer, but we gotta end the
Always,
show. We gotta end the show.
always.
So
And I want to say, um, big shout out to you for taking a leap and doing what seems to be like normalized.
yeah,
But when it dies down, I hope that you keep this up and giving space to people to talk about their vulnerable moments,
yeah,
their real moments, laugh. I think is a genius way to keep us all motivated to do the thing that we're put on this earth to do. So I just appreciate the space and the time and the invitation. And I miss you guys.
yeah,
This reminded me of old school Hartford where we used to all sit at the table
yeah.
if we were at principal
PD together.
something,
Yeah,
PD, and we would just talk about life.
yeah, yeah.
And so that helped me survive a lot. And this has been really powerful for me. So thank you.
Yep, no problem. And I gotta tell Marlena, you said
Yes,
hello, and she
please.
had you on. She's in LA. She's in LA
Wow.
working. She's trying to become a vet.
My
So
gosh.
I'll tell the family you said hello.
Please.
And they always remember Miss Baltimore and
Oh,
what a wonderful, inspiration you was, especially in Marley's life at that time, because she went to LA to be a dancer.
I
Worked
have a
out
couple
like
of
that,
those.
but yeah, yeah. So thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, talk to you soon.
Later.
I s- So that's it. That's a wrap on this episode of the Teach One podcast. But I do have some homework for you. You got to subscribe, you got to like, you got to share with your teaching besties, and then comment on your favorite takeaways. That's your homework. Seriously, thanks for tuning in and being part of this amazing community of educators. Keep inspiring, keep growing, and remember you're teaching one student at a time and making all the difference. So see you in the